um, introduce you. Rolling? We're here with Tho Bishop from the Mises Institute. So you know he's going to be an Austrian economics kind of guy. Anyway, thank you for talking to us about the trade tariffs. What do you think of them?
It's Trump. Well, one of many mistakes that Trump has made this year, unfortunately. Last year he had ended up on a high note, right, with cutting taxes for the American people. Unfortunately, placing tariffs on things like aluminum and steel is just really increasing the cost. I mean, it's another form of taxing American people.
So it's just an extra tax that the consumer has to pay, right?
Correct. And of course, the goal is to protect American manufacturers from what he sees as unfair trade practices by the Chinese. The problem is that again, the people that suffer from this are American consumers, right? And and there's nothing new about this either. I mean, U.S. steel tariffs are some of the, it's one of the longest-standing fallacies that we've really had with the federal government. Dating back to the early days of the Republic. These policies don't work. It drives up prices for consumers back here at home. And what is really misunderstood here, I think, especially by Donald Trump, is that trade is a good thing for everyone, right? The division of labor is a beautiful international element, right? So if a country is able to produce, be it steel, aluminum, stained glass, cheese, whatever, if a certain country can produce a product significantly cheaper than we can in America, well, then trading with that company is far better off for our economy than trying to place additional fees, fines, whatever, and punish those countries in order to develop domestic manufacturing here at home. It didn't work back in the 1700s. It doesn't work today, and this is it's a major loss and a major tax increase for the American consumers.
So the bottom line is, if somebody wants to sell you something real cheap, so-called dumping, well, that's their problem. We like cheap goods.
Exactly, and of course Trump talks a lot about trade deficits, but there's nothing wrong with trade deficits, right? We have trade deficits with our supermarket, right? There's nothing wrong with that. As long as we allow for a free-flowing division of labor, as long as we can, we have responsible policies here at home. Getting rid of burdensome regulation, creating an attractive tax climate. As long as we should be focusing on making our own internal policies as attractive as possible, as opposed to putting in place punitive, arbitrary fees and fines on foreign goods. We need to get our own ship in order instead of trying to attack other countries.
So these so-called trade deficits, negative trade balances, let's break that down. What that really means is that we get the goods and they get the money.
Right.
So who's better off, the one with the goods or the guy with the money?
Right. Well, this kind of gets to the other issue about the state of currency right now. I'd much rather have Chinese goods than U.S. dollars. Let's put it that way.
Right. So if they don't want to use our dollars to buy stuff from us, that's their problem, right?
Exactly. But again, unfortunately, from the beginning, this is one area of the economy where Trump has just demonstrated absolutely no understanding at all, which unfortunately, and you actually see this policy being applauded by many on Capitol Hill, especially on the left, ironically enough, because again, they don't understand the true benefits of trade, and it's just this protectionist, we got to protect our own sort of policies that ends up hurting everyone, rather than protecting some victims that they think need their own protection.
When there's a trade, it means both people think it's in their self-interest, that they're better off, whether they're receiving the goods or the money. So who are we to say you're wrong? The person that is buying the good says, yeah, I like these cheap goods. Why are you going to stop me from buying them?
Right, and you see this with the concerns about, China sends us, inferior scrap metal, or they'll deride the quality of the Chinese goods. Well, there's a reason why, if they weren't happy with the product, they wouldn't be buying the product, right? And so again, and what I don't think people understand is that it's if we're not in the steel industry or something like that, we may not really realize the impact this will have on our lives. But you had Anheuser-Busch out there saying that the price of beer is going to go up because of increasing the cost of importing aluminum cans. So everything from soda and beer to all sorts of goods that we don't even realize rely on this for international trade are going to see the cost rise, all because of this misguided protectionism.
So this theory of import substitution or protectionism was exploded by Adam Smith more than 200 years ago in The Wealth of Nations. He explained the theory of comparative advantage. Would you like to explain that to the people?
Sure. Well, basically, it's if your neighbor does something better than you do, then you benefit from trading with your neighbor rather than trying to, rather than ignoring their existence and trying to rely on yourselves. Ludwig von Mises, talked about how civilization all came about because it's understanding the division of labor, and how society is able to thrive. Even if someone's great is the best at doing three different things, well, by focusing his attention on a single good, and letting others do the other things and trading with them, they're all better off. And so again, that's really what society and civilization is all about. Is being able to specialize in something that you are particularly good at, whether it be from natural talent or whatever.